Hi. So in this video, we're going to walk through the assessment on Tavera or the Experiential Learning Cloud. I'm going to show you the assessment. It's the foundation level midterm assessment. The process will be the same whether you are a BSW, MSW, advanced, or foundation student, and whether it's your midterm or a final assessment. So we'll walk through the process. I'm here in the system, and I'm going to click on assignments, and I will find my midterm assessment. And so we can see here that it says in progress. Like other forms you filled out in the ELC system, it will save as you go, so you don't have to finish it all in one shot. That's especially good for this one. This is a lengthy form, and so you need to build in some time for yourself, and you are likely not going to finish it all in one go. So I'm going to click here, and it will open up and show me my progress that I've made so far. So we're going to start here and fill out the questions that it asks. So obviously I have my name. I'm going to write the name of my field faculty liaison. Again, this is going to be whoever teaches your seminar course, the name of your social work supervisor, and then if you also have a site supervisor that's at your agency, you'll put their name there. You're going to put the name of your agency and when you started your placement. So those are just kind of simple questions to answer. This is going to give us some instructions. Again, this specific form I'm showing you now is the generalist field assessment for the midterm, but again, the process will be the same and the form is mostly the same if you're doing this at the advanced level. So we'll walk through it from here. We have instructions here for students and for field instructors. Keep in mind that you're both working on the same form. So you are going to do your self-assessment on this form, and once you submit it, it will go to your site supervisor if you have one, and then your field instructor. So they can't start this until you complete your assessment. And so it's important that you do this in a timely fashion and communicate with your supervisors about how much time they need. So we can see instructions for students as well as for field instructors. There are some different fields that will each complete. It's telling me that on the midterm evaluation, I'm going to identify competencies and that we're going to identify the competencies that have been completed and what hasn't for the midterm. So we can see here the rating scale. I want to emphasize that this rating scale is not like an A through F, like a grade pattern. So it feels that way. It is a 5-point scale, but we really want to look that one is saying no competency. This isn't a competency that the student is demonstrating behavior in at this point in time. And we go all the way to 5, where the student is demonstrating competency and beginning autonomy with this behavior in complex situations. So keep that in mind, that 5, we shouldn't usually be in 5 for very many areas at our midterm. We have a place to grow. So this doesn't mean like I've done all the things on my learning contract and therefore I'm a 5. This means this is something that you as a student are able to do pretty independently and in complicated situations. You don't need to be at a 5 to pass. By the end of your field placement, you need to be at a 3 or higher in all of these. So 3 is that you're going to demonstrate inconsistent competency with this behavior, and you will still need some assistance and coaching. And so if you're in a 3 by the time you finish, that's okay. Likely you're going to have some higher marks in some areas, and that's great. For midterm, there might be areas that you haven't worked on at all yet. So it's not a problem at your midterm to have 1s or 2s where you haven't demonstrated competency or you rarely demonstrate competency, because maybe it's a competency you really haven't spent much time working on. So really just keeping in mind this scale and what all of the things mean. So then we move into the form that we're going to complete. So we have competency 1. We're going to start here with our competency 1. So we're going to see the practice behavior that's pulled, and then your learning activity, which will be pulled right from whatever you put in your learning contract. So we can see here, I will identify 2 actual or potential ethical dilemmas related to my field placement and consider how the NASW Code of Ethics and models for ethical decision-making apply. And I said I'm going to do a verification of giving a presentation about that. So the first question it's asking is whether or not I completed this. And I have a few different options here. I have these radio buttons where I can say I haven't completed this activity yet. Maybe I've completed part of this activity, but I haven't finished it. Maybe it is something that I've completed altogether. And maybe it turns out that I did something else. Maybe I still identified 2 actual potential ethical dilemmas, but instead of doing a presentation about them, I decided to write a reflection or talk about them in supervision. So you can kind of give whatever answer makes the best. Keep in mind that your learning contract, as you wrote it, is a living document. So it's okay if you haven't done everything exactly as you said in the learning contract. What's important is that you're meeting all of the competencies. So you're going to select whichever button makes the most sense regarding what you did. Then I'm going to move on to my learning activity 2, and I'm going to do the same thing. So you're going to go through there. Then it's going to ask, regarding this practice behavior 1, A, what do I do? So it's asking here, describe how the activities you engaged in, whether they were from the learning contract or something else, helped me demonstrate competency. If I said I have partially done this or haven't yet, then I'm going to have a plan. So this is not meant to be a list of what you did. This isn't going to say I did this and I did this and I did this. It really is to ask, through whatever it is that you did, how did you demonstrate competency? So I have here as an example, I was able to identify a specific ethical dilemma and discuss with my field instructor. I haven't completed a presentation yet. In my discussion with my supervisor, I was able to show that I can make ethical decisions and use the code of ethics as a tool. And so based on that, I'm going to rate myself as a 4, emergent competency. So that's really what we're doing. We're walking through and doing that for every single thing. So as I said, it is a bit cumbersome for you. So you're going to go through every practice behavior and tell us, if you did it, if you did something else, if you partway did it, and then you're going to give some information about how you did or didn't demonstrate competency. If it's an area you haven't worked on yet, what is your plan for the second part of the semester? And keep in mind that what you put here is really intended to help your supervisor see where do you think you are, where are the areas you're feeling strong, and it will remind them of some of the things that you did and how you did or didn't demonstrate competency in that area. So this is really meant to be kind of a tool to aid your field supervisors as they're evaluating, as well as just to give you a time to really think about what have you learned so far at midpoint, and where are you going. If we were doing our final, then we would have another field here that would ask us to where we were at final. But for midterm, this is where we are. So we're really going to go through the entire form this way. It looks like I forgot to put something in there because I'm going to have to fill out all of my fields. So I'm going to go all the way through all 9 competencies answering these questions. And now I'm scrolling to the bottom here, and I have a few questions left at the bottom that are going to ask me some more kind of qualitative questions. So when I get down to the bottom, after competency 9, it's going to ask me for kind of a summary. So a little bit of area for you to kind of acknowledge what are some of the strengths and contributions. So this is a good time to have that strengths-based perspective. What have you done? What are you contributing? An area for, where are areas you really want to still develop? What are some of your goals as you move forward? And then if there's anything else that you want to share. So once you fill out all of the fields, you're going to go ahead and sign. And so I've clicked my signature there, and now I'm going to click the submit button. And so it's going to ask me who this is going to. So if I have a site supervisor, so somebody that isn't my social work supervisor but is at my agency, I'm going to go ahead and put their name there. If I don't have a site supervisor and I only have a social work field instructor, then I can choose skip this signature. Then it's going to ask me who my field instructor is, and I'm going to choose that person from the drop-down list. And then I can see for reviews, this should be whoever my field faculty liaison instructor is. And then I'm going to click submit. And now I can see in my list of assignments that it is waiting on my field instructor. And so that's how you submit this. Keep in mind that to be finished with this assignment, it needs to be submitted by you, and then your supervisors also need to complete this. So again, as you think about the due date, have a conversation early on with your supervisors about what they need to do and what the timeline is and when the due date is so that you know when they need it. Often when I'm a supervisor, I want this a week ahead of when it is due because it also takes the supervisor some time to really think about it. And ideally, then once they've completed it, you should sit down and have a conversation in your next supervision about the assessment and how it was completed. So again, this is the process for completing the midterm assessment at any level of our placements. Thank you.